Hi, this is Maury Moreland Morrison, here to tell you Geico has more than just great savings. Much more. Geico's been around for more than 75 years, back when they were using Morse code. Sorry, that's just my sense of humor. What's more, with Geico you get 24/7 access to licensed agents on the app, online, or over the phone, so you can talk to them at night or in the morning. So forevermore, just know that no other auto insurer has more than Geico. More power to you. Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Blog Talk Radio.
Yes, sir. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's Tuesday night. And we know what that means. It's another broadcast of Real Talk all the time. 100% real, unpolished, unrehearsed, unapologetic. Real Talk for real people with your host, myself, H.J. Morgan. My man Rob Hall is back in the building, Rob. What's going on?
What up?
Our dear
Can't call it, man. How y'all doing?
Oh, yeah, brother. We glad to have you back. Glad to have you back.
Yeah, we're glad to have you back.
You know what I'm saying?
Man, it's been busy, man. Can't front.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, we have our sister Sine in the building.
Hello.
Yeah.
Baby girl.
Absolutely. You know, tonight, man, we got a really good, deep conversation coming at you guys here shortly. I call it the Afro and Latino conversation here. We're going to talk about the African American and Latino communities. We're going to be discussing our various vast similarities, some of our differences as well, and can we come together as a united front to combat injustice in this country? I think this is a conversation that definitely needs to be had. Controversial for a whole bunch of reasons, actually, but we're going to dig into that. We've never been afraid of controversy here on Real Talk all the time, so we're gonna chop it up with a guest I have, man. My man Danny Velez is gonna jump on here with us here shortly and discuss some things. He's been busy doing his due diligence, opening up conversations with the brothers everywhere, trying to see what we can do as a united front to, like I said, combat injustice and racism in this country that actually plagues both of our communities. Sometimes separately, sometimes together, but either way, we have all felt the brunt of injustice, and we're going to see what we can do about that. But before we do that, Rob, man, you know, you've been away for a while, so I gotta place this ball in your court. Man, we've had the Grammys go down since you've been gone. We've had this. What was this award show that just happened the other day where they they snubbed your boy Denzel again? What was that? Was that the Golden Globe? What was that? Anybody know what that was? I don't follow award shows. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was Golden Globes or was it the Oscars? The Oscars.
Yeah.
It's the Oscars, right?
Yeah, it was the Oscars. Yeah, it was the Oscars.
Okay, all right. All right.
No doubt.
So the Oscars. Same thing. You get snubbed either way, whether it's the Oscars or the Golden Globes, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But that being said, my man Rob, what you got, man? What's happening on the entertainment side of things?
Oh boy, I tell you, man. Well, first and foremost, man, a couple of things. I want to give a shout out to the Bill Paxton family. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And those,
yes.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Rest in peace to him.
Yeah, R.I.P.
You know, and no pun intended when I say this, but Bill Paxton was my favorite whining character in movies. Because like in most movies, and you know, mad love to him. Don't get it twisted, man. But mad love, Aliens for me, man, did it, man. He was crying his ass off up in there. And then, you know, quite a few other movies, Twister and some other things and stuff, man. But at the end of the day, I mean, the man could act. So I want to give him a special shout out, you know, R.I.P. and everything, man, to him and his family. You know, mad love from Real Talk all the time.
Yeah,
now, to
absolutely.
keep it moving, all right, let's talk about the Oscars. You know, we all know that sometimes they'll give us one, and then you know, 3 or 4 years go by. It's almost like a leap year situation. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
About every 4 years, we may see one or two and everything like that. And then even, to be honest with you, at the end, you know, I didn't get a chance to see it yet, but I need to check out that movie Moonlight. But I just thought how that shit all took place was foul too. You know, you got sealed envelopes, and everybody knows that, you know, two people specifically know who the winners are, and this, that, and the third. So now you decide to take a photo op, which the shit is forbidden. You're not supposed to do that dumb shit, but, you know, just in case somebody fucks up and, you know, gives out the wrong envelope. So they announced the wrong movie, and then, you know, did a Steve Harvey move and was like, you know, we got to recant that and you know, announce who the real winners are, man. I just thought the shit was just comical, man.
Yeah.
And personally, I thought it was
bugged
some type
out.
of stunt too.
Yeah, it was bugged out. I think I don't know. I heard it had something to do with Warren Beatty was back tweeting or doing something with his phone.
Nah,
and he
not him.
Okay.
No, it wasn't him. It was the cat.
Okay.
Because it was two people. It was the dude. I can't think of his name, but everybody's saying he's the Matt Damon lookalike. So him and this other lady are the two that actually had the envelopes. So say like if they're on each side of the stage for whatever reason, if some shit was to happen, they both have briefcases with the same envelopes.
Okay.
So just in case if something happened, they both would be able to hand up envelopes. He was backstage tweeting, taking a picture of Emma Stone, you know, with the Oscar and shit.
Okay.
And he wasn't supposed to be doing that shit. So it was his turn to hand out the envelope and fucked around and gave up the wrong envelope. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm like, all right. So I was like, was somebody back there, you know, selfie in their privates or something when they weren't supposed to, or what? You know, there was something crazy back there. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Shit was crazy. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And then for all my hip hop heads out there, oh my God.
Oh yeah.
I saw I saw something, you know, a few days ago, man, and it was just whew. If anybody is familiar with like rap beef, and when I'm saying, you know, when you talk about diss records, I go as far as back as you take the MC Shans and KRS-Ones.
Oh yeah.
You know,
famous battles. Yeah, famous rap battles.
Yeah, famous rap battles. Whew.
Kumo D and LL.
Yeah, Kumo D and LL. You know what I'm saying? I mean, damn. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, when you go back to that, and Remy Ma had, I mean, she brought it back to that essence of what real hip hop and beef and battling is all about. I mean, damn, she went all the way in on your girl Nicki Minaj, and as you guys know, man, the internet has no chill. There was a whole bunch of memes out there. Oh my goodness, on Facebook. I had a good ass laugh, man.
Yeah, I mean, not for nothing. How many hours now has it been since Remy has released that disc? And I haven't heard a peep yet from from Nicki Minaj. In fact, I'm gonna give Nicki Minaj hold on. I'm gonna give Nicki Minaj one of these. She's nowhere to be found.
I'm telling you, man.
But that was a hard diss. That was a hard diss record. I was like, wow. But let me bring this up. Now I'm hearing now, of course, after this record came out, people are saying that Papoose, who was Remy Ma. For those that know, Papoose is a damn good lyricist. I mean, phenomenal lyricist out of Brooklyn, and they saying that he may have helped her with that. And I was listening to my man Tariq Nasheed's show, and he said something very interesting. He said, "Well, if he did, fuck it, they married. That's community property right there. You know what I'm saying? That's like pillow talk. You understand what I'm saying? So if he did, he did.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Whatever.
Yep, so be it.
But I think Remy Ma is a damn good MC in her own light. I don't know, but I know one thing. She definitely bodied Nicki Minaj on that track. So I don't know if I don't know if there's any coming back from that. And I just want to throw this at you. I mentioned this just to go back to the Oscars a little bit. I mentioned this to somebody, and actually I posted this actually on my page today. Something, with Denzel Washington, man, phenomenal actor. He was snubbed once again. He actually he's been acknowledged plenty of times in these shows, but never really fully been praised the way an Al Pacino or a Robert De Niro would be at this point in his career. He's done. I've often said this, and I could be wrong, but what's your speculation? Of course, we're just talking right now, but I think that somehow, they're still salty about Denzel Washington playing Malcolm X all those years ago, and I think that may have. I think they may have pissed off a lot of people in Hollywood all these years later. And I think they may still hold a grudge against that brother for that. And that's why they don't fully, you know what I'm saying, give him his due. What do you think about? What's your opinion on that?
I tell you, I have to give you your props on that, man. That's a good I mean, my thing is, all right, if we're talking about the craft and we're talking about, people actually gravitating to a character, I don't care who the fuck it is. The bottom line is, all right, if he did Malcolm X and Malcolm X and for what Malcolm X was all about and people felt offended, there's a lot of shit that's out there that people should be more offended about. You know what I'm saying? Right. And at the end of the day, the bottom line is, and I hate to use this term because they associate black with negativity, but if he got blackballed because of that, they are fucking, they're idiots, Right. And then they threw him a bone for training them,
Right. Exactly. He played a bad guy. And they threw him a bone for playing a villain role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, damn, I mean, what's really good and shit, man, and it just makes you think and it makes you appreciate things for what they truly are. And if you got your eyes open, you can understand and see what the whole premise is. It's a lot of different things out there. Even me personally with this whole Moonlight situation, I just felt that, okay, now this is the best picture and, is basically African-American cast. And then now, all of a sudden there's a big, mistake at the fucking Oscars that never took place ever before. Now, it could be me being on some conspiracy shit, but it's just funny how certain shit happens. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, you had to it took for a whole other cast of a different fucking movie to come on and say, hey, they're bad, you guys won. And then you seen the expression on everybody's face. Everybody was looking at like, what the fuck is really good at the Oscars?
Yeah,
the Oscars is supposed to be the premier, prestigious, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, in fact, I'm going to have to get the Oscars one of these too because let's give them one of those too because these guys,
Yeah.
They fucked up.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Real talk.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
then, again, I want to give a strong J to the cast of Moonlight, and especially old boy's name. I can't think of his name offhand.
Okay.
But he got the best support now. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're talking about. All I know is that he was in Luke Cage. He was in the Luke Cage joint.
Yes. My man. And then Viola Davis, because she got hers too, man. And she gave a heartfelt, acceptance speech. You know what I'm saying? So a strong J to her too. It was all good.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, man.
You know what I'm
Yeah. Interesting stuff here at Entertainment Vibes, man. You got anything else for us, brother, before I get into some interesting news stories here?
Nah, man, that's pretty much it, brother. What you got for us?
All right. Well, not for nothing. Let's start off with this one. Yesterday on Monday, and I'm probably sure it has something to do with Black History Month, Donald Trump invited all the heads or a few of the heads of these historically black colleges and universities to come to the White House. So they come through, and your girl, Kellyanne Conway, is sitting on the couch, feet up on the couch, and sitting on her knees like she's at home. And many have found that to be very disrespectful to these gentlemen that came there. I mean, after all, the man himself, the president of the United States, is standing up. So why is she sitting on her knees on this couch? And I'm actually looking at a picture of her where I guess she pulled out her phone camera, but you don't have to take a picture sitting down on your knees on some couch. So a lot of people took a offense to that, and I think it was rightly so. But you're dealing with a cabinet, if you will, or regime, if you will, that they have no idea what respect is. Their whole aura is out of bounds, if you ask me. So I mean, it's almost at this point, it's like asking a wayward whore to do right. You know what I'm saying? That bitch ain't gonna do right. You know what I'm saying? She's just gonna run amok, and that's what we got going on here with this regime here. These cats ain't gonna do right. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. I'm not even sure why all these gentlemen showed up. I wouldn't have went. If I was a president of some HBC, I wouldn't have went. I'd have kiss my ass. I wouldn't have went. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. But this Kellyanne Conway chick she's been in the news the last few weeks for this stupid shit, and she continues to show her ass. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. I don't know what you got on that, man. What you got on Kellyanne Conway's foolery and this whole shit? What's your thoughts? Yeah,
I tell you. Well, Sine, what you got? Yeah, because we haven't heard from you. What you got?
Yes, Sine. You're a female. Would you be in sitting on the couch with your feet and underneath you on it's just ridiculous. I don't know.
Listen, I feel like it was disrespectful, even if if no dignitaries were there. I just think it's disrespectful to the office itself. A lot of things in the White House are of historical value, and it's just, to me, it's too comfortable. Like, I wouldn't eat. My house is not the White House, but if someone is coming to visit me, I don't expect them to sit on my couch like this. Like, that's just, it's too comfortable. You should be at home, and you absolutely should be aware that you're being photographed and how disrespectful for you to check your phone after you taking a picture that you wanted to take with your phone. It's just, it's another sign of the detachment. It's another sign of how they are so unaware of how ridiculous their actions are, and she's very blasé in this picture. So to me, it's just, it exudes the disrespect. It just shows the disrespect that they show all of the time, and she really should be embarrassed. And I would think if he would go off on a tangent or a rant, that he would reprimand her in some type of way when he throws tantrums, when reporters don't say what he wants them to say. Clearly, this is out of line. It's just totally out of line.
Right. Now, here's something else that comes to mind, Rob. I mean, maybe before we don't know what was happening before all these people came in the room. Maybe she was in there and she was, getting ramrodded in there. You know what I'm saying? She had this, sit like that to hide the wet seat on the couch. Who knows what's going on in there? You know what I'm saying? Maybe there was a wet spot, and they say, "Quick, bitch, sit over here and sit on top of this and make sure that nobody sees this shit." I don't know. So one can only speculate. God knows what was going on in that room before they all got in there. So who knows? Nothing would surprise me at this point. So that's just my thoughts on that. Moving right along, though, this case that popped off actually in 2015 is in Douglasville, Georgia.
Douglasville, Georgia.
Yeah, this is down I tell you what, today, you can go ahead and jump up on this story real quick. You had this couple that were riding around in their pickup truck waving Confederate flags. They were armed, actually.
It actually wasn't a couple. It actually was a big-ass group of people. I remember when it happened. And it's just these two people are being singled out right now. But it was like I would if they were black, the media would say it was a mob. It was absolutely not two people.
Right.
It was not
a couple of carpools.
cars. It was truck loads of people in the trucks waving flags, blowing their horns, cursing. When it first came out, there was a lot of footage on Facebook where people that were far away were videoing it. So, it wasn't like small.
Right. I remember this. I remember this case when it popped off. And, now here's the thing. If any gunplay, if these black people decided to defend themselves and there was gunplay involved, they would have said that these white people were justified in shooting back at them and all types of shit. So, it's funny how shit plays out. Now, here's the kicker. This is the thing that really got me, y'all. Here you have the girl and this guy boo-hooing like newborn babies at the kind of time that they got for this. They're crying, and this motherfucker got snot coming out his nose. And I was elated. Actually, I thought this shit was funny. But the thing of it is, the chick jumped up and said, that's not me. That was, bitch, let me tell you something. First of all, the video clearly shows that it was you. This and about her friend here, who, she said, this is not who he is. This is not who we are. And, if I was on Maury, I'd be like, well, no, the lie detector determines that was a lie. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. This is ridiculous. So,
man, this shit is funny as hell, boy.
It was just comical to see these hardcore white supremacists crying like bitches in here. You know what I'm saying? It's really ironic that this happened this way. And actually, I'm shocked that they got any time at all.
But the thing that gets me is like they cried when they found out. You know what I'm saying? Do that shit when it's always after the fucking fact, and then you're trying to defend the shit that you've been proactive about for years. Stop fucking playing. You know what I'm saying? If this is who you are, own that shit. I would have respect, even though I say fuck you, but I would have more respect for you by owning your shit. You know what I'm saying? Own what you did.
You rolled by. You didn't cover up your license tag or nothing like that. Y'all were proud.
Right.
Yep, that was you. You know what I'm saying? Stop playing. Stop playing. Yeah.
Well, and when it happened, when the police were called, the police were reluctant to make them leave because they said that they had the right to ride up and down the street.
Really? Yeah.
But if black people had done that, that would have been like, oh, you can't get together. You don't have a permit to do this.
Yeah,
it would have been all type of.
It'd have been all
shit would have been
things.
totally different. And he actually, they aimed guns. They said they would kill people. When some of the men came out and did give feedback verbally, they threatened to kill them. They had rifles on the back of their trucks, all of that. So there was no type of hesitation when it was going on. And this was at a child's birthday party.
Yeah, correct.
In their yard. It wasn't in a public park. It was in their family member's yard. And they just, I guess they, for whatever reason, they didn't like that black people were congregated. Nobody was parked on anybody else's property. There was nothing. There was absolutely no reason for them to be doing it. Then others to show that they were proud and they didn't give a fuck and they wanted to be disrespectful in every manner. And now they cry.
No doubt. No doubt.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt. Yeah.
Right. Now here's the other
shit,
exactly. Now here's the ironic thing, and it's funny. Everything happens for a reason. We're going to be talking kind of to this topic slightly tonight. One of the guys that is arrested is going to do 13 years. His name is Jose Ismael Torres. Now this guy has a Latin last name.
Wow.
Actually, his first name, middle name, and last name are Latino. Now here's the thing, and we're going to get into the meat and potatoes later on in the show, is that this is one of the things. You have some Latinos that believe in their heart of hearts that if they don't have any pigment in their skin, they automatically think that they are honorary white folks. You understand what I'm saying? And not the honorary white folks that are I guess quote unquote well to do. They jump on the hillbilly bandwagon. Some of them. You understand what I'm saying? And try to be honorary white supremacists. And this is something that has boggled my mind for many, 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 many years. So we're going to actually talk about some of that as well tonight. So everything happens for a reason. This is kind of right on time as to some of the stuff we're going to be touching on tonight. But, looking at the guy, he doesn't look like he has any Latino in him at all. He looks like an inbred hillbilly. But, I don't know, So who knows? You know what I'm saying? But
word.
Interesting turn of events here, guys. Interesting turn of events. Of course, tonight, y'all, I can't even say it. Mr. Trump will be speaking to the press. So, I mean, it's going to be a busy night for him. So, I mean, you can tune into him and listen to him lie to you, or you can tune into us here at Real Talk all the time and listen to some real truth. So the choice is yours. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, go with the latter. Yeah, go with the latter.
There you go. So check us out instead, and let's chop it up here. But that's all I got. So, Nate, my dear, you got anything on your mind you'd like to get into real quick here before we take our break and bring on the guest and get into this conversation?
No, I think we covered everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just got one other thing, man. One other thing about politics with this idiot that we were just talking about. I guess now I just saw some shit on Facebook that he's trying to blame President Obama for the leaks of, the fucking administration and shit, going on with the Republicans. Like the Obama administration was the one that was for the leaks of, with the press and all this other shit. Come on, man.
Yeah.
That's some weak ass shit for real.
No. It's alternative facts, brother. It's alternative facts.
Oh, my bad. You are absolutely correct, my brother.
Yeah, these are alternative facts.
You get a strong J.
Yeah. Well, thank you, sir. Why not? Why not? Yeah. Don't mind if I do, sir. Yeah. Alternative facts. But that's all we got for our preliminary tonight, folks. We're gonna come back in about 50 seconds with the main topic, man. We're gonna get it popping, y'all. We're right back. Stay hanging there with us. Don't forget, y'all. The call in tonight is 657-383-0612. We have both the chat open and, of course, the phone lines are open. We'll be right back, y'all. Hang in there with us.
No doubt. One.
Real Talk Radio. Real Talk on Talk.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tuesday night. We'll talk all the time. Tonight we're going to talk to a young brother that I had a chance to chop it up with a few weeks ago privately, and the brother is intelligent, well-spoken gentleman by the name of Danny Velez, Puerto Rican brother Boricua from the New York area here, and he and I spoke candidly about a few things, and I wanted to bring him on because I felt that what he had to say was so very important, and it struck home, and I feel that this is a conversation that we need to have not only once but probably several times, because we have a lot of work to do in our respective communities individually, and I think we have something to do collectively as well. So without further ado, I'm going to bring my man Danny Velez on, man. Danny, you live, brother. What's going on with you?
What's going on, bro? Thank you for having me on, bro. It's an honor to be on, bro.
Yeah, glad to have you, man. Glad to have you. Danny Velez is with us. My brother, just to let the people know who you are, some of the things that you do, just let the people know, give the people a little bit about yourself, a little background.
Yeah, no doubt. So, obviously, I mean, my name is Danny Velez. I'm originally from the New York area. I now live like about 40 minutes north of Baltimore. I was on the show maybe like 2 weeks ago in Baltimore talking about like the same stuff with another brother out there. And right now I'm a business owner, so I own my own business. I help my dad out with his business, and we get down to business talking about how we can unite our people too, man. So that's it.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. I think that says a lot because, of course, we know part of the problem is economics in our respective communities. Right. We don't own enough businesses to command economic power, and that's something that some people shut. Yeah, go ahead.
No. What I was going to say was that the crazy thing is, though, that the Black and Latino community united, we have a buying power of about $8.4 billion. So
wow.
that alone in the entire world is the strongest buying power together.
Right.
So we have the economic force. We're just being misled by either propaganda or whatever that is extended unwisely, and especially outside of our community.
Right. Absolutely. So one of the things that we discussed, and I want to get a little bit into before we move forward, as to we get into the solutions and we get to the how can we come together and combat injustice and things of that nature. One of the things that one of the things that, as an African American brother, that I have noticed, maybe some others noticed, Rob, I don't know. You know, we all grew up in the PJs where we had blacks and Latinos, blacks and Puerto Ricans, Dominicans together in the same housing project. One of the things I want to say too is that when the Latin community was coming here from places like Puerto Rico, DR, and other places like that, we're talking about late 30s, early 1940s, they were put into the same neighborhoods right alongside African Americans. You understand what I'm saying? And to me, that right there spoke volumes. So basically, the powers that be said, okay, we're going to put you guys over here, because to them, probably, there wasn't too much difference. Okay, this group speaks English, this group speaks Spanish. You all look alike to me. You all have similar mannerisms to me. Let's throw all your asses together. In fact, during World War II, you would have your darker skinned Latinos were put in the same units as your African American soldiers. There's been actually a couple of movies about that as well. So they've always felt that we were the same people from the outside looking in. We've always felt that there was a difference. But see, here's the thing that I want to speak on, and I'm gonna give it back to you, Danny. Is that one of the things that we have in common is colonization, imperialism, and of course the slave trade. So, I think there was a meme that was that went viral on a few places where it said the difference between African Americans and your Caribbean Spanish speaking people is a boat trip, is a boat drop off point, and that's it. That's the only difference. So one of the things I want to say is this, and I don't want to put you in the hot seat, but we want to talk about this because we want to see, where would the disconnect be? Many Latinos from South America on up to the islands share African American ancestry. Okay, and of course the indigenous people, your Taino Indians and stuff like that. Yet, I've been to DR. You go places like DR and stuff like that. You have these people who the only difference is they speak Spanish, but some of them shy away from that African heritage. Why is that? Why do you think that is, Danny?
Right. So, just like I'm able to have the perspective of, because I grew up in Puerto Rico. Like I was born in the Bronx or whatever, but I was raised in Puerto Rico, so I was like almost a teenager and stuff. So I grew up through the school system, and they really just teach you to kind of hate your ancestry a lot. And what I mean is obviously they do it discreetly. They don't tell you they hate your indigenous roots or or your African roots or whatever, but they do only glorify in the schools. And I know a lot of Mexicans, Dominicans, and it's the same thing around because I've asked. Is they only really glorify the conquistadors and the Christopher Columbus bullshit. And I remember being in the first grade and just in the first and the second and the third grade, every year there would be a Christopher Columbus play, and they would have us dressed up like them and kind of glorify that. And all of the artwork in school, you know what I'm saying, is of these conquistadors and stuff like that. So I think that through the programming, and through the years, through hundreds of years, they continue to put this programming out there. I think that has a huge part to do with it.
Wow. Sine, who also has Latin ancestry, Sine, my sister, do you have any comments on that to touch on that as well?
Well, I think it works just like it works in the Black community, and I got to see it on both sides. With my family, my dad being Puerto Rican, my mom being Black. Even when my dad married my mom before my mom met my abuela, when he flew her to Puerto Rico, my grandmother and the whole family had said it was relieved when they saw my mother, because my mother is actually lighter than my dad. She's really, really light. So my grandmother was relieved, which is kind of oxymoronic because my grandmother looked like a white woman with red hair, and my abuelo, he looked like a black man with black curly hair. And she went against her family when she married him because the belief is to lighten the race. To have, you want to have pretty children. You don't want to have girls with what they call pelo malo, which is bad hair. So it's like it's within the community, and then you have it on the outside. And it's the same with Black people. You have people that are partial to light skin. They want light skinned girls with the long hair. It's the same thing. And so it's passed down, and it can show up in families. It shows up in my family. Like, we literally have family members that don't really commiserate with other family members. And we're all the same blood. We all have the same grandparents, but we don't look alike. So it happens.
Wow. That's interesting. Wow. Go ahead, Danny. Yeah, go ahead, brother.
No, I was just agreeing. I mean, there is a lot of racism just within families, just within the family members and all that type of stuff.
Right. I think, because I've heard stories of family members who felt, and this is in the African American community, that so and so was a little too dark, or so and so was a little bit too light. So I guess there are, this is something that we share that I don't think anybody's proud of, when you're conscious of color, when you're the same people and you're conscious of the light skin, dark skin thing, that's really, really nothing to be proud of. That says a lot to the self-hate in the programming that I believe that Danny spoke about earlier. This is a self-hate, self-programming thing that has even plagued the Latin community, and it's very interesting to hear it. It's also plagued them. So this is something that your Jamaicans go through. This is something that your African Americans go through. This is something that your Haitians go through. So it's not just unique to, let's say, the Latin community. I think one of the things, though, and this is because I've had deep conversations with some of my Latin brothers, and here's something that I find, and you kind of touched on this, Danny. Here's something I find interesting is that instead of embracing, well, some do embrace the African heritage. Some do. And one of the things that it shows up, you can't deny it, shows up in the music. Whether you're listening to salsa, whether you're listening to merengue, whether you're listening to bachata, okay, those drums, those horns, you're listening to African music, okay? And the dancing,
I mean, the Congo,
you know what I'm saying? Right. That's something that's undeniable. So you're saying, well, hey, we're dancing to the same music, because hey, I love Latin jazz. I don't see a huge difference between Latin jazz and American jazz at all. My father was a jazz musician, loved Latin jazz. We're speaking the same language here, drums and the horn.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? So it's just ironic. But what I wanted to say was this. I went around the long way, but what I wanted to say was that you have Latinos who would embrace more the Spanish heritage, and I don't mean the language. I mean Spain as being, let's say, the surrogate parent versus Africa being the surrogate parent. I always found that mind-boggling because just like with us here in America, Spain was the subjugator, not the liberator. So how could you find common ground with the subjugator, and not find common ground with the person you were subjugated right next to? I just always found that interesting and mind-boggling, But that's why we're here to have that conversation, Rob, you got any questions for Danny? Till we move on here.
I guess, Danny, pleasure having you on the show. And one of the biggest things is throughout the course of time and seeing how diverse certain things are. I mean, how do you adapt and adjust? Because living in the times, and especially now what's going on in the world today, you have this whole immigration thing. So sometimes people will encompass a whole slew of people into one melting pot. You know what I'm saying? And with that being said, now being that you are of Latin descent, and they're talking about as far as this whole deporting thing and stuff like that, how do you keep yourself out of that spotlight?
I mean, it's really, that's a tough one, to be honest. I mean, honestly, I'm not. It might sound crazy, and it might not. I just really just try not to pay, and I know it's probably a little bit hard not to, but I just don't really pay too much attention to what it is that they say on the news and stuff like that. Because I just feel like a lot of times there's a lot of either fear-based programming, and there's a great documentary on how the media actually does that. It's called like the fear principle or something like that. And I just really try not to pay too much attention to it because honestly, when you look at the math and when you look at the numbers of what it is really doing, they're not doing anything that they haven't done before. They're just saying different things to get you in a different mindset. So when it comes to that, I've really just, over the past 5 years that I've been awakening and stuff like that, I've really just been trying really hard to just keep myself kind of just gathered in thoughts, rather than just being swayed by just pure emotions, just kind of stay logical about the matter and keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
No doubt.
Gotcha.
And then you said something that was paramount. The biggest thing is like how the media will pretty much brainwash or program people into believing one particular thing, and you being conscious and understanding that who I am as an individual is not defined by what people are saying on a social media.
Neither is it being jeopardized.
Yeah, no doubt. So I got to give you your props on that, bro. Stay strong, my dude, man.
Yeah.
Bro, thank you, man. Man.
Absolutely. All right, I got a caller here. I'm gonna bring in. We're gonna ask some questions with Danny. We're gonna keep moving on here in our topic tonight. We're having the Afro Latino conversation tonight. We're discussing some tough things, but we're trying to find some common ground here and see what we can do to become a unified front against injustice in this country. Caller 3280, you're live. We talk all the time.
All right, 3280 is Doc Holliday. How you doing?
Hey, what's going on, Doc Holliday? Welcome back to the show, man. We're chopping it up here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
all right,
a young brother here, Danny Velez, and we're trying to find some common ground to work together against injustices by addressing some of the things that have plagued both of our communities in our own lives, our own homes, and things like that. And we're trying to find some common ground moving forward to, like I said, fight against injustice here in this country. What do you got here for the young brother here, Danny Velez, man?
First of all, I'd like to say big up to Danny Velez. I've listened to your conversation. I'm glad you're on the show, and I applaud what you had to say. And awakening is an ongoing process, and I see that you're completely involved in that. So big up to you on that, my brother. And
absolutely, thank you.
All right, and the other thing I'd like to say, we've all witnessed this, and I want to tell a couple of stories. One that's kind of funny. Well, first of all, me and my brother Jack Kim, actually, we have some Latins in our family. Our Uncle Segundo, who was a black, almost African-looking black man from Cuba, married my grandfather's sister, who's a black American woman, but she's a red-bone black American woman, a light-skinned black American woman. And if you see his kids, and he had 3 kids, I believe, and his daughter is a dark brown-skinned woman. Unfortunately, she passed away. That was BB. And his son Eddie Perez is a lighter-skinned black man. Now, once you hear that name and you tell oh yeah, my uncle is Cuban, I'm sure they would automatically think that him being Cuban, he must have been the light-skinned one, and the woman was the darker-skinned black American.
Right.
And the only reason why. And the only reason why I bring that out is this. What people don't understand is that we all suffered through slavery with the same type of circumstances. And so the variety of complexion in our communities, unlike us looking at each other when we first see each other and thinking that it's different, in reality it's all the same. You know what I'm saying? You've got very fair-skinned black Americans who are black, but they're fair-skinned because of the mixtures they went through voluntarily and involuntarily through slavery. All right, and so sometimes when we see black people that have some kind of visual variety or something we think is a visual variety, we start to want to give them a different identity, and that's just propaganda. It ain't true. If you're black, if you speak French, you come from Haiti. If you're black and you speak English and you come from any of the Caribbean islands or the United States, or if you're black and you come from the Caribbean or South or Latin America and you speak Spanish, I mean, whatever you see in the variety of your people in terms of complexions is the same for every black person everywhere in this Western Hemisphere. That's the first thing. The second thing I want to say, which is a rather funny story for me, is that here in New York, and mind you, you gotta understand my age. I'm 60 years old, so I was born in 1956, and growing up in the early 60s as a young child, pre-King, things were a lot different. So anyway, that being said, if you lived in Spanish Harlem, for instance, or a neighborhood that was like real inner city and ghetto type of thing, blacks and Hispanics to some extent got along with each other and didn't always see each other as so very different. But where we grew up at, where my brothers grew up at, we grew up we were some of the first blacks in a poor white trash Italian neighborhood, Italians and Irish. And they were poor white trash. They were thugs. When I say, so a lot of people look at white people, okay, they're poor white trash, but these cats were gangster-like thugs as well. And the interesting thing about them is that the Hispanics that lived in our neighborhood, a lot of them wanted to be Italian. So they were Hispanic, they wanted to be Italian anyway. So they used to run with the Italian guys, and call us black people niggas and be trying to beat us in the head with a baseball bat right along with the Italian guys. Well, here's what's funny. One day, we had a real all-out brawl. I mean, a bad brawl with about 50 or 60 people involved, baseball bats, pipes on both sides, people getting bones broken and shit like that, right? And I had led this particular situation because a black family had gotten attacked in my building when I was a little kid. They were brand new into my building, and the whites and some of the Hispanic surrogates had jumped this black family. It was a woman, her daughter, and the only one male was with them, their son. So anyway, and what had happened, these guys used to do this kind of thing all the time because the neighborhood was predominantly white. But they didn't realize that over time the neighborhood had flipped, or the project had flipped and become predominantly black. But they didn't know it because they stayed on the whitest side of the project, causing whatever havoc they used to have. Make a long story short, we had a battle. The blacks won the battle, and the whites were angry, so they put a hit out on me. They tried to have me killed. And so one day, I was walking home from the store with my brother Joaquin when he was about 5 years old, and we walking towards the back of my building, and I saw all these cats that I had been fighting in the back of my building, and they kept calling my name out like they were my friends. And there was 5 or 10 of them motherfuckers in the back of the building. I said, oh, shit, I know this is a setup. To cut through that story real fast, I got through that safe because my father came out with the rest of my brothers and the brother who I had helped out the night before. They were armed with butcher knives and broomsticks, and they gave me a phalanx escort through the lobby of the building back into the apartment safely. But to make a long story short, what my father did later on is my father went to my Cuban uncle's house and got some of his friends and his daughter's girlfriend's friends to come and read these cats the riot act. Now, every one of these Hispanics that my father brought with him was black. Not only were they black, they were some, excuse my language, they were some big black niggas. And every one of them spoke Spanish. They were on them white-looking Puerto Rican boys and caught them in the hallway and told them, don't fuck with these people. This is part of our family, and you don't ever want to see us again. They were shocked. You should have seen the looks on their faces. They never saw that many black people that spoke Spanish in one place at one time. You know, it was like the surprise, the shock, and the total confusion on their face was something I'll always remember for the rest of my life. It was really funny.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, baby. Yeah. These are the kind of things I grew up with in my life. I actually experienced. And what makes me the angriest is that I get so many people that will come up to me and say, no, that didn't happen. Because it didn't happen in their life because they were lucky enough not to live in a transitional neighborhood, meaning a poor-ass neighborhood going from one color to another. Those type of neighborhoods breed intense violence, especially when I was a kid in the 60s. So if you haven't gone through that, then consider yourself lucky. But my attitude is don't ever get in my face and tell me what I lived through didn't happen. Then I want to kill you. But anyway, that was one incident. I'll tell you about another incident that was pathetic and made me mad.
Doc, I got to jump in here real quick. We'll come back to it. I just want to jump in here real quick.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all good. No, it's all good. We appreciate that. So Danny, that was an interesting story. Do you have any comments on that, man?
Yeah, I mean, one thing that's interesting to me is one thing that I really caught from there was the whole transitional neighborhood thing, right? I feel like for the past 2 years, I've just been observing things, and it's just crazy to me that for maybe the past 30 years, they blacks have been 12 to 13% of the population. I just think all of that shit is such bullshit. And what I'm saying though is that perhaps part of the drama that's going on right now is that we're living in a transitional country, where our people are genetically starting to perhaps it's already been like that, but we're starting to transition either into the majority or are starting to become aware that we are the majority in this country.
Right.
And perhaps that's what's stemming some of the violence and some of the things that have been happening all over again.
Right. Well, here's the term that's being used, Danny, and if everybody else here on the panel, the term that I was hearing prior to the election, and what I'm hearing right now, especially from the alt-right, is they're saying that whites in America are suffering from some sort of ethnic annihilation. They're calling it. I don't know if that's the exact term they used, but they feel like they're being wiped out here in the United States. Now, I don't see where that's happening at, but to them, especially your hardcore alt-righters, they're saying that this is the reason also why why Trump spoke to them at the very heart of their core, is because they feel like you said, making America great again was code to them for making America white again, and they feel like due to the influx of Latinos coming to the country, due to the influx of Muslims coming to the country, they feel like they're losing the grip on
and due to
quote
the
unquote.
fact that white people have been dying, their mortality rate is higher than their birth rate right now. I mean, that has probably something to do with it.
That's a fact as well. So the thing is, they feel that they've under attack just by people moving here who are non-white. They feel like they're under attack, and this is another reason why Donald Trump won the election, is because he spoke to that part of them. You understand? So
right.
This is why we're at right now. You had the Indian man shot in Kansas by this guy who was a clear Trump supporter. You had another guy recently wanting to do the same type of mimic a Dylan Roof attack, right? He got caught though. So all this violence, like you said, you hit something really important, Danny. We're in a transition period in this country here all over again. You got gentrification happening up in here in the Northeast, places like Chicago, Atlanta, all over the country. You have neighborhoods that used to be predominantly poor areas, unfortunately, and predominantly Spanish and black neighborhoods being gentrified now. Harlem is no longer a black Mecca anymore. Okay, places in Brooklyn, Fort Greene area, Rob, out there where your family is from, by Farragut.
Farragut.
When's the last time
Gowanus.
I don't know. Gowanus. When's the last time you've been out there? Go out there now and tell me what you see. You understand what I'm saying? Totally different.
Real talk.
Gentrification is a new weapon that they're using to help gain back some of the ground that they felt they lost, back in the 70s when they had white flight back out into the suburbs. You understand? So this is what's going on. So one of the things we talked about earlier on, Danny, was economics and businesses. Let's jump into that a little bit here. Now, one of the things that I envy, okay, and I'm going to talk to this and ask your opinion about this. And Rob, you've seen it growing up. One of the things I've always envied is that, as far as I was concerned, at least where we lived at, Latinos always had the ability to somehow open up a store, which we call a bodega, right? And you know what I'm saying, a corner store,
no doubt.
and things of that nature, and kind of have their own businesses. Where when I was growing up, I never saw any black corner stores, anything like that. So I think at least in that aspect, the Latino has a leg up, and I think black people in this country need to start doing stuff like that, starting off and things like that. After all, just recently you had, remember all those newsstands they used to have here in the city, Rob, back in the days, all over down Manhattan?
Yeah.
The Indians bought all those. They bought every last one of them.
Yeah. And
so they
it's
bought
funny
into
that you mentioned the Indians.
Yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned them because, like, now when you talk about those corner stores, and you even talk about hotels, man, I remember this is early 2000s, and a lot of the Arabs had came in and started, like you said, buying up the newsstands and buying up, like, little corner stores and hotels. And, I mean, it was crazy, man. It was just like a whole climate change. You know what I'm saying? You still have the little mom and pop stores and stuff like that, with some people that didn't give into, like, wanted to sell out, if you will. You know what I'm saying? But like anything else, man, money and gentrification, like you said, man, changes the game up for real.
Absolutely. So, Danny, what are your thoughts on that? So, of course, we know economics is one of the things that we have to do. What do you have? What do you have going on in that on your mind in that aspect of things?
Yeah. So,
My bad.
I mean, just first and foremost, just going back to the past real quick. I mean, and just looking at if we want to call it the problem, historically, in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, blacks had. I mean, two of the things was blacks had, significant amount of businesses. They were the number one homeowners in America and the number one, they had the lowest divorce rate in all of America. Around at that time, though, black businesses, it was a whole movement, and whether it be on a conspiracy level or just on a collective hive level, that the white person saw that as something to be afraid of. I'm talking about on an animalistic hive mentality type level. Black business owners started being killed off. Their businesses were burned. You know what I'm saying? The Black Wall Street, whether it was, I think, in Detroit or in Chicago, and then, matter of fact, down in Oklahoma, all of this stuff was completely destroyed, and the people that owned it were killed. So you start getting, and when you look at these problems on a genetic level, you start having kids that are born they grow up their whole entire life afraid of these things, whether they know it subconsciously or logically. They know that these things brought fear, or they were scared, or they might get killed, so they don't do it. And then they have babies having the same genetic structure of fear born, still inside of them. And that stuff continues to transfer. And I just don't think that we think about that enough, like on a scientific level, as a community and as people. That for the past 600 years, all of this fear. It's not just the new generation is going to be new. We're dealing with genetic problems that have been brought along for probably 500-600 years, which is something that we need to look into a little bit more, because I think that's a pretty significant problem. Does that answer part of your question and stuff?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we hit right on. Absolutely.
Now, as far as what we could do moving forward, I just think that obviously there has to continue to be, and it's been beautiful because over the past year there's been a beautiful movement of more black businesses, ethnic businesses, and people actually wanting to support each other. Because out here in my community, I live in a small town, and there's a lot of blacks and Latinos, and we support each other. And the few that have businesses, we actually have groups, and we meet up and stuff like that. And we know for a fact that we're going to shop within our community first before we look outside.
Right. That's good. That's a good thing, and I have to commend that. Big up to the people in your community that are doing that and supporting each other. That's a wonderful thing, and that's something I wish it could be mirrored. Throughout the country at this point, because I tell you what, I think it's a dire need of things like that. Sine, any comments on that? I'm sorry, go ahead. Who's that?
Oh, me? Yeah,
no, somebody says.
Doc, this is Doc. I want to piggyback on what the brother said. He's absolutely right. I got this little feeling that I think can help propel black people to have their own businesses. Here in New York, it's been tough because it's tough to get money to start a business, number one, in New York, and it's also tough to get black people to consciously patronize each other. And then when you see businesses started, sometimes it's also tough for black people to be customer savvy and put out a good product that'll keep people coming back. But here's one of the things I think of. We have a problem in terms of food, getting good, healthy food into the black community. There have been plenty of people that have addressed this. What I'm thinking is that, particularly with the new technology in terms of growing things, what I'm thinking is that when you find a black person, for instance, that's willing to start a garden in a vacant lot, and they grow food and things like that, what I would like to see is black people invest in that and push that past the idea of just a garden. Why not create a small, manageable growth facility and use the new vegetable type growth technologies that I forgot what they call them, where you grow instead of growing on the ground, you grow up in the air.
Hydroponic garden.
Yeah, exactly. So you create a silo that spirals upward, and you grow various fruits and vegetables in that environment. Have it managed well, maintained well, and secured well, and you can grow enough to almost have a vegetable black minority or people of color supermarket chain that you grow yourself. You didn't have to pay for it from anybody else. You didn't have to get it from a middleman. You produce it yourself, and you can provide it as a purchasable item within your own black community. I think if we think about things like that, that might help us transition back into the process of having black businesses that black people are willing to patronize. And the reason, because to me, that's a simple thing. That's so necessary, food. Because the two things are going on with food. One is that they're getting rid of regulation now to the extent that we're going to wind up getting, and not just all across this country, we're going to wind up getting contaminated food because the agencies that regulate that kind of thing are being stripped and dismantled by the Trump the Trump administration, number one. And so perhaps we can take advantage of that and start filling that gap by producing our own food, because the thing about food is that food is best grown locally. I know we've got the technology to ship food all around the world, but in reality, the best food you can have is food that is closer to the source that needs to eat it. So taking those environmental concepts in hand, I think we can do some things that can accomplish more than one goal in
you know what?
like that.
Right, I think you're right, and it can be done. There was a gentleman out in California. I guess the guy was, did a bid. He, had a hard time getting the job. Ex-gang member or something like that. I don't know what part of California it was, but he started this garden. He's doing fantastic things with it. So it can happen.
Documentary on Netflix, I think.
Yeah, exactly. It can happen. You know what's so funny? I'm sitting here chuckling to myself, Rob. Do you remember our very first season? We started the show, and we got a call from this lady, and she came on and she started talking about food and how.
Oh my God, yeah.
You remember that? But now her delivery,
right around the holidays.
Her delivery was off. But now that I'm listening to all this, damn, you know what, man? Looking at it now, she wasn't off the mark that far. It kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We kind of laughed at it because it was kind of out of place of the conversation at the time.
Yeah.
But now that I think about it, I'm like, wow, you know what?
It makes perfect sense.
The lady wasn't she wasn't as crazy as we thought she was. You know what I'm saying? So, it's just interesting. But there's something that can be said of that, and of course it can be done. You just got to have the people that are willing and wanting to do it. But that's something, food is something that everybody needs. And I've seen it mentioned in several forms of people say, look, man, get some land, get a garden going, and supply your neighborhood, your community with its own vegetables. And I think that makes perfect sense. Sine, we were on you. Sine, let's get your thoughts on this in regards to what we all saying, and of course what Danny was saying here earlier.
I forgot what you were saying.
It's all right.
Well, I think what I was going to say, though, when he was saying that, he lives in a small community and they shop with each other and they patronize each other before they go outside. And I think that is the answer. I also think that we need to have some more type of forums where we are solid and we do come together. I find that here in Atlanta we are separated. We're separated a lot in that if I go to one end of Beaufort Highway, I don't see anything but Latin stores, Latin people, and I don't see a lot of black people. And the black people that you do see, they speak Spanish. They're not African American, should I say. And I think that another issue too, because to be transparent and to be honest, growing up with a mother that was lighter, excuse me, and a father that was darker, and then children in the home with different types of hair and different shades of skin, a lot of people always assumed it was my mother who was Hispanic, and a lot of people always assume, oh, y'all are Mexican. And
wow,
just to be honest, my father would hit the roof if someone mistaked us for being Mexican. He was like, no, to me, I always saw it as him being so offended. I never really, and I still don't understand exactly why, but I found that to be the case a lot in my family. So it just goes back to what I said before. We have to work on divisions within as well as divisions out, because we're divided within us, and then, you know, we're all different shades, but it's just we have to come together and see that we do have more similarities than differences, and it's painful when I see it in my family. It's very painful. It's very obvious. My sister, she is 7 years older than me. She's very, very fair-skinned. She really does not come around a lot. And I find that happened more so once she got through college. It's like she wanted to assimilate more with the lighter and fairer-skinned people. So a lot of times we don't see her at family functions. We don't see her, and it's not just her. I have cousins that are the same way. So it just, we have to work within before we go out as well. And I think we have to, like, try to connect. Both, so that we can, like, it's because the day that we all do unite and come together, if they're having fits now, they would damn near jump off the edge of the world. They would kill themselves. If we really all had some type of solidarity, it would be game over. And they know that.
No doubt.
Interesting.
And so it's in their interest to promote us against each other. I see it all the time. I see it a lot in workplaces, especially like construction sites or building houses. I've seen white foremen pit black workers against Mexican workers. Like, I've seen that myself. So I know that it happens, and it works to their benefit. And in the end, they get to talk to these people any kind of way, the black people and the Mexicans any type of way. And they feel like, okay, well, you're hungry for a check, so either you deal with it or you don't.
Wow.
So we have to get past that. We have to get past that and understand whether you are light-skinned, dark-skinned, whether you speak Spanish, whether you speak Spanish and English, we're still all in this shit together at the end of the day. We're still seen as the enemy. We're still seen as ones that need to be reined in and oppressed and put in our place. And so once we see that all together, then I think a lot of things will change. So we do need to find more avenues where we bond as opposed to separating.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Rob, you got anything on that before I give it back to our brother there, Danny?
Yeah. I mean, it's just pretty much like how Sine said it and what everybody, the whole panel was saying. The biggest thing, like anything else, is, and I want to say something that Doc was talking about, you know, I think one of the issues that we have is, like anything else, bringing people together as a solid unit. It all sounds good in theory and it all sounds good, you know, on paper and stuff like that. But now when people have to dig in their pockets and trying to, you know, get things jumping off the ground, and I think we had a show about this. We talked about this a while ago. People always want everything to happen right then and there. You know, what can you do for me right now? I need my return right now. You know, everything it's a process. It takes time. And, you know, it's not going to happen overnight. And unfortunately, the way that we were brought up, whether, you know, African-American or Latino, I mean, when you look at so many different things or you look at the diversity or look at how our upbringing was, you know, a lot of people weren't taught about, you know, stocks and bonds. You know, grandma said, yo, you put, you know, a couple of dollars in the TV or hide it under the mattress or some shit like that. And people didn't understand the whole concept of what money was all about or how to make money grow. So when you talk about all of these different things and, you know, you're talking about trying to make businesses and things of that particular nature, man, it makes it a little bit harder.
Yeah. No, I feel you on that. You know, it's funny, and I'm gonna give it back to our guest here. But it's funny that you said the thing, Sine, about, you know, the Mexicans. Your father didn't want to be considered Mexican. Now here's the thing. Here I am, 45 years old, be 46 in 2 months. I just found out last year that you had a group of Mexicans in Mexico who had African ancestry. I just found this out. This is crazy. It's almost shameful because I pride myself on knowing world history and stuff like that. But there's a whole community of Afro Mexicans. You know, never heard anything about it. And I mentioned that to say this. It goes back to what I said earlier. Now, in California on the West Coast, okay, the relations between African Americans and Mexicans was horrible. I don't know how it is now. I know before it was horrible. And again, many Mexicans felt that they were honorary whites. And I find that to be interesting because reading through history, back in the 40s, they had this famous Zoot Suit riot where a Mexican woman was assaulted by some white sailors, and that set off a whole race riot between Mexicans and white people. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So how fast forward all the way up till now, you have Mexicans that think they're honorary white people is beyond me. You understand what I'm saying? And would treat African Americans, you know what I'm saying, like, you know, your white supremacists would. That bugs me out right there. And I think one of the things, Sinead, like you said, is that everybody is different. You don't have, Mexicans and Mexicans, you know what I'm saying? You got Puerto Ricans, you got Dominicans. But like you said, a lot of people outside of, say, the Northeast think that everybody that speaks Spanish is Mexican, and that's not true. I've had to correct people myself. But I think when we talk Afro-Latino unity, a lot of people are very reluctant to get together with Mexicans because of the things that have happened on the West Coast between Mexicans and blacks. I wish we had a Mexican listener on the show tonight so I could get them some questions on that.
No doubt.
It's interesting. But anyway, Danny, my brother, moving forward here, again, talking about economics, and you said in your community, you have, the blacks and Latinos are supporting each other and getting this dialogue together, which I think is super duper important. I know we've come a long way, but we have a whole lot more work to be done. What would you like to see happening besides the supporting of each other's businesses? What else would you like to see happening in the Afro-Latino communities?
Yeah. So, I mean, this for me is the most important part, and I think that if you're not about it, and obviously I exercise compassion when I say this, because at one point or another I was on the other side of the coin, but I believe that without coming back to our African spiritual roots, then you're not about the movement. I think you're just like kind of pumping gas. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not. Right. I think that we don't come back to the true spirituality, and what it truly means to be African and to be black and to be united to our spirituality. Then I just don't think it's worth having a conversation.
Wow. I can dig it. And I respect what you're saying. And here's something that I want to caveat on. You mentioned spirituality. It's so funny you say that because my walk is definitely along the lines of African spirituality, and it's so interesting that my introduction to African spirituality, maybe about now, let's say 5 years ago now, was actually from a Latino and a Latino sister and brother that that kind of put me on to some spiritual practices. They said, well, hey, you know what? This is your ancestral shit right here. This is the stuff we do. Right. Is what your ancestors did, and it blew my mind. I said, wow, you guys are practicing stuff that I didn't know about and should have. You understand what I'm saying? So here's something else. When we talk about similarities, you go to places like my brother said, we have family members from Cuba. You go to Cuba and you'll see people practicing the African spiritual practice of Ifa, which is now Santeria, and Palo Mayombe and Voodoo and stuff like that, and other practices that involve contacting your ancestors and involve universal law and involve honoring the nature and your environment. That stuff comes from Africa, and it's funny that in these very same places we're talking about, DR, PR, South America, you have groups that are practicing these practices outright, and it's like, wow, to have somebody who wasn't black tell me about myself as far as spirituality is concerned it blew my mind. I was like, wow, damn, okay. It was like, wow, I got schooled if you will. You know what I'm saying?
Doubt.
So,
No doubt.
you know, so I found that interesting, you know. And I think you're right. Again, but here we're talking about the things we have in common. Once we come to this common ground, okay, I think we can fare better. One of the things that we don't have, Rob, and we talked about this on this show a couple of times. I'm not sure if you were on leave when we talked about this. Is that we don't have enough, if you will, congressmen in our pockets, if you will. We don't have enough people, enough judges, enough, councilmen in our pocket. And we need to start doing that. I think across the board. I think our communities need to start doing that. You see, I don't know if you saw up here, but in Flushing, Queens, that the Asian community there, man, they've got on the political, they got on that political thing, and they wielding some power out there. You understand what I'm saying? And one thing that they doing it so well that it doesn't even matter who wins any type of elections, because on the local level, they control shit politically. You understand what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter if Trump's president for them, because they know in their community they're going to be taken care of. This is the shit we need to start doing with us. You understand what I'm saying? This is the shit where I say, Rob and Sine and Danny, we need to start doubling down on certain things and demanding, the people that we put in office do what the fuck they supposed to do.
Exactly, and hold people accountable.
Exactly. When you have these unjust shootings of people in our communities who basically are poor, or you see people getting railroaded who are poor and who are probably innocent but can't afford no damn representation, this is where your politicians and the people that you put in office who are in your pocket, this is when that comes into play. So along with economic power as far as having your own businesses, we got to take the money that you generate from that and start buying literally judges, councilmen, politicians on the local level. You understand what I'm saying? And we have to get out of our minds. I'm going to be very frank with y'all, playing by the rules. Okay?
Yeah.
Because what happens is money talks and bullshit walks. You guys remember that riot that popped off in New York, Rob? Where the Jewish guy ran over that boy and that whole riot jumped off back when Mayor Dinkins was mayor.
Yeah.
Okay, that guy was whisked out of the country that ran over that kid. Now, I'm not saying that's the right thing, but I'm saying they had the money and the wherewithal to do it. Nobody can stop them from doing it.
Yes, to do that. You absolutely
right. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
We got to start wielding that kind of power, man. Where the whole damn town stops. If the shit don't go the way it's supposed to go, the whole town stops, and we got the power to do it.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? We in our areas you have things that like these construction things that go on forever. They're on the same damn street, filling the same pothole. You let that shit happen in the Jewish neighborhood, Rob. You understand? You better believe that damn shit's gonna be fixed. You understand what I'm saying? We got to wield that kind of power. And it can only be done through money. We're gonna have to start doing it. What's your thoughts on that, Danny? Wielding some economic power, but wielding political power. What do you think about that as well?
No, I mean, I think it's an interesting point. I mean, I think that the most, and this is just stuff that I've been experimenting because I actually became really close friends with the mayor in the town, like next to ours. Him and I have actually become really close friends. He's a Puerto Rican brother, and so I kind of took advantage of that and was, kind of getting close and stuff like that. And I've seen that, you gain a little bit more influence, and some of the ideas that you have or whatever that you want to start implementing, you have more of a voice when you start wielding some of that power. I just think that maybe on a massive national scale, for me, it's at least a little bit hard to kind of start wrapping my mind about that. But I think on a local level, just by learning some of the tricks and trades of networking and actually, putting ourselves out there to actually do the work, to actually go out there and solidify the connection and do a follow-up until we can actually build that connection and build a friendship and stuff like that, I think that it can be fruitful, and we can see some changes. But I think it's very important. Absolutely.
Sine, what do you think about that? I know we talked about that on the show before about the local voting down and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that? Wielding political power on top of our economic power base.
I agree. I think that's where it starts. I think that we have to be more proactive in learning who is in our local government and building relationships and rapport with people that's going to run that have your agenda in mind, as opposed to just trying to get in and saying what they think you want to hear. And that if they're not about your agenda, once they get in, vote their ass out. But we have to be more proactive. Like, we can't wait and have all the information served to us on TV or on the internet. Like, we really do have to go to town hall meetings. We really do have to go to school boards and listen to what's being passed, as far as even with stuff in schools with children, what kind of curriculum is being taught in your schools, things of that sort. We still have to be more proactive, and to be honest, we have to be more proactive than any other people. They don't have to do anything. They already have their stuff in place. So we have to work double, triple time to do that. And I always go back to this. We have to motivate younger people to do it, because the younger people, the younger you have being motivated to stay in, they're going to stay longer because they're used to doing that. They've been conditioned to be proactive in their community. It's harder for someone who's starting out in their 30s or 40s than someone who grew up seeing their parents do it. The parents took them with them. So it's like second nature for them to do it. They grow up seeing it, and they grow up doing it, so then they motivate each other, and that's how it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's our job to really plant that seed in the younger kids just now going to college, kids that are in high school, making them proactive in little clubs and stuff in their schools. That's really how it starts, in my opinion.
No, I hear you. Rob, what do you got on that, man?
I mean, it's just a combination of different things, man. I tell you, I don't even know where to begin. I guess the biggest thing, like anything else, man, is just being able to relate and trying to make a difference. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know, man. It's hard,
I hear you. I think one of the things, like, a lot of people would say, well, why the emphasis on our communities coming together as one? And one of the things that strikes me is this. I don't know if you remember this case back in the 80s of, I think his name was Eddie Baez or Anthony Baez. He was playing football in the Bronx, and his football accidentally bounced against a police car. Cop was just kind of chilling out on the block in his car, as they sometimes do in the patrol cars in these areas. Not, whatever he's doing, writing up something. And this football bounced into his car, and Anthony Baez was choked to death by this cop after that. And I never forget the outrage from that incident that happened. And the African Americans and the Latinos banded together, man. And I remember at the time, of course, it was at that time the only person really talking about stuff against police injustice in the city was Al Sharpton. But it was one of those things where this happens to, it's happening. It happens to both of our communities. Things like that. So that brings us together because we're both suffering from injustice, the injustice system in this country. Another incident more recently, of course, the brother that was choked to death by the cops in Staten Island. It was a Puerto Rican brother, I believe, who videotaped the event. If it wasn't for that videotape, things could have went even more horribly wrong than they already did. Of course, the brother died on camera, but we probably wouldn't have got half the truth that came out from that videotape. And the sad thing about that is that this young brother after that has gone through so much hell from even taping that event. This guy, he's been arrested himself. He has all types of legal problems. They've been trying to railroad him and hem his ass up ever since he videotaped that incident. So, again, we suffer from the same injustice system. So for those that would say, well, why the emphasis on the communities working together. This is the reason why, because you live next to each other any damn way, whether you want to or not, and you're suffering from the same injustice. So why wouldn't you work together? To me, that's a no-brainer.
But I
Danny,
let me say this, man.
Yeah, Rob.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut Daddy off, but no, the point that I'm making is like, and I just want to caveat off of what you was just saying. Why does it have to take a major incident? All right, let's just say we had enough incidents that took place, in both communities, and we've seen enough, we heard enough. So why does it have to always take for another incident where people come together on a common ground, to make things happen? And then it's temporary. You know what I'm saying? It's not on a consistent basis. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And you're right, Rob. We've touched on this oftentimes now in going on the 4 years that we've been doing the show now. We've touched on this time and time again. We've covered every single high-profile, unjust crime that has been out since the inception of the show. And one of the things you've always said is that we'll be up in arms now, and then 2 months from now, it's back to the same okie doke. So yeah, it's crazy. But Danny, just going back to you, your thoughts.
I mean, just to be specific, like my thoughts on particularly which one of those particular points right there.
Well, it's just like I said, we both suffer from the injustice system.
Yeah.
And this is something that it doesn't plague just us. It doesn't plague just you. It plagues both of us. And we live side by side anyway in these communities. So my thing is, why wouldn't we work together? You understand what I'm saying? If we're both suffering under the same guise of justice that really is not justice, then, why wouldn't we work together? And I just want your thoughts on that.
Right. Now, I don't really see any reason why we wouldn't get together. I've been a major, at least thought proponent on the fact that we should get together. I just see it as a logical move. I see it as something that's going to bring more power to us. I do believe that, we need to be careful and do set some sort of standards and guidelines on how it is that, we conduct quote-unquote business and stuff like that, just because we don't want to allow it. I don't necessarily want to say become too inclusive or whatever, but at the same time, we just got to, kind of just keep that in mind. But I don't see any reason why we shouldn't get together. I mean, I just think that it's for the greater good. At the end of the day, we're all just one people, and I don't. I mean, it might be on a conspiracy level, and I might need to do a little bit more research to understand it completely. But I don't just think that our people were in these continents only when the white conquistadors brought us over here. I believe that our people were already in these lands. I believe that. I mean, when Christopher Columbus in his diary, he wrote, to my dismay, I found Negroes in these islands. You know what I'm saying? So we were already here. These lands are already ours and stuff like that. So it's really just no difference. It's just mixing with some discoloration. We're one people, and we. I mean, obviously we went through the same shit. And I mean, I even extend the same courtesy to some Asians and stuff like that for the simple fact that, I mean, the same bullshit happened all over the fucking country, man. I mean, all over the world. Right.
Well, I mean, I often say this, anywhere that you had, and I don't even know if this is the correct term, I've heard various things on this, but anywhere you had indigenous people, and then along came the European power, you know what happened after that. You understand what I'm saying? And I think everybody can relate and share the same type of story, as to what happened after that happened.
Right. I mean, I was just learning about the Cambodians, man. Like, literally, they had death camps out there. We don't know about any of this stuff, but, they had death camps out there. Literally, they were treated as slaves by the white Vietnamese people that were backed by the British Empire and stuff. I mean, it happened all over.
Right. Exactly. I mean, exactly. I mean, even places like in Vietnam, before the Americans got involved in Vietnam, the French were over there. If anybody knows about the French and what they did in what they call the Belgian Congo, they did horrendous things. King Leopold killed more people than Adolf Hitler did. You'll never hear about that. You know, so you know, again, anywhere they were indigenous people minding their business, and in came the Europeans, death soon followed. So, I mean, honestly, in my world, all peoples come together to fight injustice in the form of white supremacy. In my world,
there's actually a prophecy in Native American prophecy called the prophecy of the Rainbow Warrior. You should look it up online or something like that when you get a chance. But it's called the prophecy of the Rainbow Warrior, and it talks about how all the peoples of the world will come together and fight this monstrosity that the white man has created.
Right, and it's a world of injustice. It's a world of greed and injustice, and we're all suffering. And you know what's so funny? I guess it's not funny, but you know what's so funny about it is that the poor whites suffer as well, but because they're told they're just a little bit better than everybody else, it's like, oh well. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like, okay,
they're getting fucked the same way.
But they don't care. As long as somebody tells them that, hey, you guys are better than the niggers and the spics, it's all right. You know, oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know, somehow or another, you know, we'll, you know, it's okay. You know, but it's just crazy, man. You know, it's just crazy. Sine, any
right,
I'm sorry, go ahead, brother. No, you got it.
No, I mean, no, go ahead. We'll get back to it.
Yeah, I just wanted to know if Sine had any other questions or comments directed towards our guest tonight.
No, I can't think of any right now. I'm sure once y'all start talking again, I thought of a couple, but you know, everybody else was talking. So I got to start writing stuff down so I don't forget. I can't think of anything right now.
Are you getting to the age today where you got to start writing notes down to yourself?
I've been doing that. I've been doing that for a minute. So don't judge me. I've been doing that.
I gotta mess with you. I gotta mess with you a little bit. No, but go ahead, Danny. Have you had anything before we get into our next questions here?
Yeah. So I mean, just one thing that I do want to say, and I always keep coming back to this, is that I just really do believe that more than guns and more than weapons and more than martial arts or whatever it is, I believe that the number one armament that we need to arm ourselves with is the spiritual armament. You know, and I do believe that this is more important. This is more important than even, you know, having power over politicians and stuff like that.
Yes.
When I start thinking about this shit, it's funny to me, right? Because, and I don't even necessarily want to say the white man, because I mean the regular white people are getting fucked too, but they just you know, they just whatever, they just think they have some sort of supremacy or privilege or whatever subconsciously. But when I think about this, whoever it is that we call the elite, you know, they're pumping. I mean, they're wasting all these resources, trillions and trillions of dollars to control our people. That must mean that secretly, without us knowing it, we must have some sort of fucking power that they're afraid of. If they have to do all these measures and all of this media and hit us from all these different angles with the food and the pharmaceuticals, and they're going crazy trying to control us with the war and the fear and all this shit, that must mean that we have something secret within us that we need to become aware of.
Right. That they know about it. They know we have it, but we don't know we have it. And part of the mental mind fuck is to convince us that we're nothing, and to convince us that we're less than. So we never try to achieve this. But I believe you're right. I think part of the fear is that they know damn good and well that we have something that they can never they can never obtain. We have something they can never obtain. You know, I don't care how many Grammys they have, how many Golden Globes they give out to each other. We have something that they could never obtain, and damn it, they don't want us to ever find out about it. And I believe that. Right.
I just think for them to continue, quote unquote, ruling or even just continue existing, we can't know about it. So that's why it's so dangerous to them, and they stop it by any means necessary.
Right. Exactly. And I believe that. I don't think it's conspiracy at all. I think it's truth, because they go through a whole lot of effort to make sure that you never realize who you are. That's for sure. A whole lot of effort is put into that. I mean, let's think about it. We talked early on in the show about these award shows and stuff like that. How much money goes into making movies and stuff like that, and things to make you not think about the things that are going on around you. How much money is put into that? You know, there's a reason why. There's a reason why they come up with gadgets, something for you to take your mind, something for you to buy, to tinker with, to some type of shiny, gleamy toy to play with, other than getting back into your true self. You know, so there's right. You know, meaningless, whatever it is. You know, and you know what they call entertainment over the last 20 years has gone straight to shit too. Let's be clear on that one. What they're entertaining themselves with nowadays, we're looking at what the hell is this shit, you know? So there has to be something to it. I'm in total belief that there's a lot going on that we don't know, and it's done for a reason. And it's done with purpose. So
well, I do have a thought on it, because just looking at the etymology of the word entertainment, the way that it was first originally used was, for example, you would entertain a guest at your house.
Right.
That's how it was. I mean, almost exclusively used when you look back at what the pure definition of the word coming back from was. And when you entertain a guest in your house, you're allowing them in your space. You know what I'm saying? Right. You're allowing a guest in your home, and entertainment. You know, when you get the word "meant," the Latin word for mind is meant. So you're allowing somebody to enter your mind with whatever they have.
Exactly. Absolutely. Well, listen, let's go back to when TV first came out. TV program. You know, the word program, what does a program do? It's meant to create, for you to do something, like a computer program. You know? Yeah, exactly. Windows 7, Windows 8, and Windows 10 are programs to do whatever they're meant to do. You understand what I'm saying? So your TV program, this is why I can't get into these reality TV shows, because to me,
oh my God,
that was
garbage.
Yeah, when they came out with that shit, I was like, wow, here we go. And, you know, some people can't live without it. You know, they got to have it. You know, so it is what it is. But, you know, I mentioned something, Danny, on my page earlier today. I said when we stop giving a damn about shows like the Grammys and the Oscars or the Golden Globes, when we stop caring and people stop tuning in because they don't give a shit, and they realize they don't need that as a validation to their talent and to who they are, that will be a step in the right direction. You understand? When you don't look for that pat on the head anymore, or that validation from shows like that, from these award shows, you know, because they're gonna snub you any damn way. When you realize that you don't need that shit anymore, that they don't have any power over you anymore.
Right.
You know.
Right.
It is what it is.
Now, just as a side note, all of these major, you know, the Grammys, CMAs, whatever I don't even know how many there are, the Golden Globes, all this shit.
Right.
They're just major rituals. They're just major rituals, though, too.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
The same exact Santeria shit that we doing. I mean, they're doing it on that type of scale. You know, they're probing. I mean, if you saw the whole Beyonce thing, you saw Oshun come out. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
They're doing. They're playing with the same.
Right. Exactly. One thing that I've researched and realized that the statue itself for the Oscar is actually an Egyptian statue of Ptah.
Right.
You know, so wow, you know, so that's not even original. That's nothing that they came up with. They borrowed that. You know, so you know, if you don't know, do the research. Pull up a picture of Ptah and pull up the Oscar, and you'll be like, wow, look at this. You know, so you know, it is what it is. You know, but like you said, they're rituals, and when we realize we don't need to be involved in their ritual, then we'll be better off after that. You know, it is what it is. You know, we're gonna get into some closing thoughts on this. I do believe that this is a conversation that needs to be had often, because we do have a lot in common.
Yeah.
We do have a lot in common. We do have a common thing we're working towards, and that is justice. That is justice. I don't think anybody wants to. I don't want to be lord and master over anybody, but I do want justice, equality for all, and I think that our community is working together to get that says a lot. Sine, I'll go to you first, and then I'll go to Danny, and then we'll get ready to wind down and get into what we got coming for next week.
Okay. I just think that, like you said before, we need to serve our own plates and stop having our plates served to us. We need to serve our own plates. We need to be making the plates. We need to be putting the food on the plates. Like, we need to be doing it. And when I say food, I don't just mean literally. I'm talking about getting educated. I had to get educated about myself, especially growing up in the family that I had. And as you all were talking earlier in the show, that was something that came to me. I remember being young and asking my mom and dad, we were sitting in the car, I don't know, I must have been like 5, but I know I was very young. And I just asked, why are y'all white and I'm black? Because at the time, to me, I saw my mother as the white, my older brother, my younger brother was little. And, of course, he was fair. So, to me, I was black, and everybody else was white. I felt like my dad was brown, but in my head, I felt like, why are you all white and I'm black? And both of them looked at me like, what? Like, they couldn't even believe that I said that, like, where did I get that from? And my dad was very, very big on saying, we're all black. Like, he would say that with no hesitation. He was like, we just speak Spanish, so he never made a difference. And I think that's what helped me embrace what my hair looked like and what my skin looked like, and that I didn't look just like my brother or sister, like none of us really looked alike. So I think we need to educate ourselves about ourselves, and then we need to educate ourselves about other people before we think we know, because I can't tell you how many times I've been in a store and people who speak Spanish just assume I can't speak Spanish and may say something out of order. And I have had to answer in Spanish, and their whole face, the whole shit changes up. So we need to realize that you have to be knowledgeable about your world around you, and we need to be more proactive. So I guess that's really all I have to say about the show tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Danny, man, any closing thoughts as we get ready to wind this down?
Yeah. So, I mean, my last thoughts are, I just think that the most important thing for Black and Latino to really do and to understand is that, like, the inner journey is the most important one.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, we have, outside of our own independent experience, we have no, like, we just don't know what's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? We're the only people, like, we are the only thing that we can kind of control. Does that make sense?
Right.
So I think that the independent journey is preliminary. You know, so truly understanding who you are, going on that journey. In the movie The Matrix, Trinity told I forget the boy's name, Neo. She told Neo in the beginning of the first Matrix, she said, it's the question that drives us, Neo. You know what I'm saying? So asking the right questions and just putting that out into the universe and within yourself is really the most important things. And I think that's where everything else kind of just falls forward. And I just think that the most important thing, once again, just to reiterate it, is the inner journey. Getting to know who you are first and foremost, coming to the true source of your power, and really just taking responsibility for yourself before you try and take responsibility for the conditions outside of you. You need to take responsibility for your mental, spiritual, and emotional space.
Yeah. No, absolutely, brother. Absolutely. And you hit it on the head, man. You hit it on the head, brother. And I want to go back to what you said earlier, man, about our spirituality, man. I'm a true believer in that. I'm a practitioner, proud practitioner of our spirituality, and I get into it. I still have work to do within that to make myself better, but I think that's part of where our power comes from. I think that in itself, I think as we said earlier, there was a lot put into getting us away from our spirituality, and it was done for a reason. So I think part of quote-unquote overcoming, if you will, for lack of a better term, is to get back into that. Because if it was a whole lot of emphasis put on not doing it, then damn it, you should be doing it, because that means there's something to it,
Exactly.
So, yeah, absolutely. And for those that don't know, during the famous Haitian Revolution, that was one of the catalysts that helped the Haitians overthrow the French in their fight for freedom was they tapped into their indigenous and ancestral spiritual practices, and that's what helped him to overthrow the French. So I think that's super duper important when you think about it.
I mean, we're talking about the French landed on the shores and just was wrought with diseases as soon as they landed on the shores, man.
Right.
That's some spiritual. That's some crazy shit right there.
Yeah, it is. There ain't nothing to laugh at. And people forget that wasn't just the French. That was Napoleon's army. Those were the baddest boys on the planet. Those were the baddest boys on the planet at that time. So, that says a lot right there. That says a lot.
Right.
I don't have anything else. I'm so glad that you joined us, Danny, and big up to you again. I appreciate the work that you are doing in your community. I appreciate you reaching out to our African American brothers and sisters and extending a hand and saying, hey, this is something that we can accomplish together. Because I know a lot of people, have been hemming and hawing on that. I have never felt anything different because, like I said, I grew up in a community. I grew up with my Puerto Rican brothers and sisters and my Dominicans and Cubans and stuff like that, and I feel that we do have a common enemy, and that enemy is injustice. And I think we should work together to do something about that. And I think on purpose things have been put in our paths, and we've been put against each other. And I think that we should realize that we are, like you said earlier, we actually are the same damn people. And I think once we realize that the people that are trying to fuck with us are in big, big, big trouble. Huge trouble.
Right.
So, again, there's a lot of effort going into having us not realize that. But that being said, again, I thank you.
Can I add something right quick?
Yes, absolutely.
I just want to add a plug for our own little thing that we have going. I didn't get to say anything the last time about Black-owned businesses.
Yes.
And that we need them to contact us on our web page, through our email. It's on my page. It's on Real Talk all the time, that we are trying to promote Black-owned businesses. It can be any type of business. Do not be shy. Reach out to us so that we can support you and build you up, because that's how we're going to come up, by building you up. So anybody that knows of a Black-owned business or has a Black-owned business and is interested in promoting it through us, we want to hear from you, and I just wanted to put that out there. So don't shy away from that.
On that note, if it's not too late, I do own my own business and stuff like that.
Yes.
So, is it too late for me to say something about that?
Oh, no, but go ahead.
No.
Big up.
All right, cool, man. So, right now I'm actually working on rebuilding my Facebook. I would say for you guys to contact me on Facebook, but for some reason, the night before the show and stuff like that, my phone went black out, so I had to get a new phone, and on top of that, my Facebook was disabled, and I lost all my contacts and stuff like that. I don't know how that happened, but they just completely blocked me from Facebook. But, my brother and I, we operate a financial firm. So, we help people out, in the economic realm, building their personal finances and stuff like that. On top of that, my dad owns a car dealership and stuff like that. But, the most important thing for me is really building the finances for our people on an independent level, on a family level. So if anybody has any information, has any questions about that's out there, my number, you can either reach me at my number or my email. I'll give you my email real quick. It's Danny Velez 27 at gmail.com. I don't know if you want to put that in the comments in the chat or whatever. People kind of, hit me up and stuff like that if you have any questions. And on top of that, on top of the whole health level, I just launched with some of my friends. We just launched a health company where we work on making sure that the water quality in our community, is up to par. Because water has a lot to do, the quality of our water has to do a lot with our mental state and a lot of that other stuff. So.
Okay, and that's what's up.
Thank you for sharing it. Can you spell out your email address just so it'll help people, because people may spell your name incorrectly and not be able to get to you?
Yeah, sure, yeah. Thank you for that. My email address is Danny, So it's DANNY Velez VELEZ 27 at gmail.com. So it's Danny Velez 27 at gmail.com.
All right, that's what's up. And I put that in the chat as well. So those that are in the chat, I put that information in the chat. Just real quick here, of course, as always, we're on every Tuesday, 7:30 to 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Now, a couple of things I want to put out, please. If you listen to Blog Talk Radio, please subscribe to us on Blog Talk Radio. Also, we have the brand new YouTube channel going where I actually repost these broadcasts on the YouTube channel. So please like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Please follow us on Twitter and Instagram. And we appreciate the support. Also, if you have show ideas, we're not shy if they're controversial or not. If you have a show idea and want to get some thoughts
Matter
out,
of fact,
please
we love
contact
that.
us. Yeah, exactly.
We embrace that.
Contact us at our website. Our email is there. Give us your show ideas. Bitches, gripes, complaints. Definitely email us. We will address the email. And we continue to give us your support, and we appreciate it. Absolutely. Next Tuesday, we're going to get back into our Relationship Tuesdays. The first Tuesday of the month, we always do Relationship Tuesdays. We do it sporadically sometimes, depending on what's happening, but we're going to try to do Relationship Tuesday, March 7th. That's next week. And what we try to do is that we don't always give you the usual, lovey-dovey stuff. We actually give different views on relationships, and it can be relationship with your parent, relationship with your sibling, relationship, any type of relationship issue, relationships with people that's on your job. So we encompass the whole umbrella of relationships. So don't just think it's lovey-dovey stuff and giving your lover a bubble bath and stuff like that. We touch on a lot of different things, a lot of different aspects on Relationship Tuesday. So next week we'll have a Relationship Tuesday, and we'll give you that topic later on in the week. But we definitely appreciate everybody listening tonight. We wouldn't be here without you guys. We appreciate the support. And, of course, you can always follow us on Facebook, our group page and community page, Real Talk All the Time. That being said, website is www.realtalkallthetime.com. www.realtalkallthetime.com. So that's all I have. Danny, man, thank you again for gracing us with your presence. I appreciate you, brother.
Bro, the pleasure was all mine. Thank you, man.
Yeah, very intelligent young brother out here doing his thing and doing positive things, I might add. Positive stuff. I appreciate that. And we need more of that from our youth. Today, of course, thank you for being on. Our brother Rob had to run off, but he's back with us from his work schedule. So Rob is back with us on the show. Sine, you take care of your health, young lady. I shall. Please do. And we'll catch you guys next Tuesday. That's all I got, y'all. Real Talk all the time. We out. Peace out. Good night, everybody. Catch us next week. Peace.
Peace, my brother. Take care.
Night.
There is more to me, Queen Eliara of Elfgard, than my elven magic. Just as there's more to Geico than saving you money, Geico also gives you 24/7 access to licensed agents online, on the phone, or on the Geico app. And while I am a mighty elf queen, I am also a mighty big fan of barbecue potato chips. Minions! More smoky mesquite.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.